The new Party 1019. The new Party 1019. The new Party 1019. New York's #1 for throwbacks.
All right, we back in the building. The producer's point of view. We are live and we are coming to you straight out of New York City. And right now, I got big New York City in the building. Big New York. Up, my Christian.
Hey man, what's going on? Christian Demasonis, brother. That's my name. They call me Big New York.
Big New York. All right.
Yeah.
And the first question I want to know is how'd you get such a big name? Because New York is a big city. So for you to be called Big New York, you must be a big deal. Not even must have been. You must be a big deal. What's up?
Well, that would have only have happened in Virginia, because what happened was I left New York in '95. I went to work for my brother's record store chain in Richmond, Virginia. And somebody one day just called me Big New York from the way I talk. And it just stuck. I'm 6'7", 350 pounds, man. So so it just immediately stuck to me. And some people like to refer me as Big New York because they just can't pronounce my last name, What can I tell you?
That's funny, right? So they can't pronounce your last name, so we're gonna make it short and call you Big New York.
Yeah, it's easy.
So tell me how long you've been in this music game that we all love and adore so much.
Man, I've always wanted to be in the music game. I've been loving music since I was as young as I can remember, but I guess officially what happened when in the early I guess 1980, I had my first professional gig. I played in a heavy metal band, getting paid $350 a week, playing 5 sets a night in Oahu, in Hawaii. And when I came back to Brooklyn, I started all over again, and I was playing in some of the clubs, the hard and heavy metal, hard rock clubs. But after a while, man, I just said, you know what, this music game is too much. I don't think I'm gonna hang. So I got out of the game for a little bit, and I was very unhappy. So eventually, what happened, man, was I moved to Richmond, Virginia, and I guess because I was, in a whole nother climate, I was in an urban vibe. I was, selling hip hop records, man, in Richmond. I started laying tracks for some local hip hop artists down there in Richmond, and I just started gravitating. I changed my genre into funk, and then eventually jazz, Caribbean, Latin, and that's what I've been playing professionally. So now I have to say, man, it's taken me all this time, but I could actually say I'm an international recording artist, and that to me is a big deal.
Oh, that's amazing. Which countries have you hit thus far when you shout out the international part of it? Where have you been with it?
I've never played out of the United States, but I could tell you that my music has been, in Europe. I had a #1 record in basically in England called Latin Jive Redux. That was in 2017, and then I just had this universal hit, international hit with Bob James. It went #1.
Oh, that's a
yeah, that was really, really a big hit for me. That happened in late 2021. And of course, I'm actually playing on this bass player from Spain. His name is Juan Mendoza, and I'm like featured on one of his tracks and stuff. So, I'm telling you, man, once you get played, on radio stations overseas, just immediately you call yourself an international recording artist, man.
That's it. I get it now.
Yeah.
All right, so with that being said, how many instruments did you play at the very beginning?
I've only played, and I still to this day really only play one. I have a keyboard set up, and I'm teaching myself on the keyboard slowly, but I've been a bass player since I picked up the bass when I was 15 years old. And I really started, I've always written my own music, even when, as a novice, just like not knowing what I was doing, I would write songs. So, and eventually my songwriting just really grew, got better. And once I played and jumped onto a 6-string bass, that's when a lot of things changed for me, because I was able to not only write the grooves of the song, the bass lines, but then I would write the chord, I would play the chords to the song and the melody on the 6-string bass and the upper register of the neck on the 6-string. And all of a sudden I had 3-part harmony, which I would later then show to musicians who I admire, send them my tracks, or people who I play with in the area, in the DMV area, and then delegate who's playing what melody when.
So
And
tell me
yeah.
how you like the DMV area. You cool with the DMV area since you've been there? How long have you been there?
Oh, I moved here in 2000, but in 95 I lived in Richmond. I will tell you personally, man, that I do love the DMV. It is scattered, um, but yeah, I have, especially I have a lot of love for
Nah,
Richmond, to be honest with you.
you don't sound like you love it. I don't hear the love. I don't hear the love coming from you right now, but you sound like you
Well,
want to be back in New York.
well, I am a New Yorker, bro. What can I tell you? And I can also tell you this, to be completely honest with you, man. DC people don't really love New Yorkers. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
heard
you
about
know that we're not
the
accepted in DC, man. We yeah, man. If you don't like go-go and you go to DC and if you don't like go-go, you're in trouble. You know that, right?
right. Yeah, DC.
But I like all kinds of music, so it's all good.
Right. All right. So tell me about this new single that you got that you just dropped, because we definitely about to get into that here on Party 101.9. This is, we get a chance to do the internet radio thing, and you are rocking with the Podfather, 25 years strong in the game of internet radio and podcasting. But the radio, that's my first love. I love to play music and break new records. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna set up your song and we're gonna get right into it.
Okay. Well, the name of the song is called Throb. This is actually a remix of a previous song that was on my first album that came out in 2020 called, the title of that album was They Call Me Big New York. This is on my second album that was released in April of last year called You Only Live Twice. And features about 4 of my favorite bass players, including myself. I'm laying down the groove, but I've got 4 internationally well-known bass players, man, that have been in the game for a long time. One is Bill Dickens. He's a famous songwriter, has been playing with a lot of different people. He used to play with Ramsey Lewis, the legendary late great Ramsey Lewis. I have another bass player, Val Johnson, who you might remember was featured on the Arsenio Hall show back in the 80s. He played and still plays with Kenny G, which is a #1 international recording artist, Kenny G on sax. And then I have Andrew Couché, who's also considered the godfather of gospel bass. I will tell you, you might be familiar with his work because he had a big record back in the 90s on the Hidden Beach label called the Unwrapped series. So a lot of those hip hop, smooth jazz versions, he's playing the bass on. And then I have a Canadian friend, his name is Brendan Rothwell, and all of them together, man, just bring this funky urban bass in your face song.
Nice. I love that. So let's get into this record now. I heard a little bit of this earlier today when I was going through it, and I was like, "Oh, this is smooth. I like what we're doing here." All right, so this is the producer's point of view. I am DWI. You're New York's most. So you're big New York. I'm New York's most influential producer. So we could share the city. We could share the city. I influence the city, and you just run the city. How about that?
Man, we work together, man.
All
We
right.
work together.
All right. Let's get to it. Feel free to sing along with it and perform if you want. I'm gonna leave the camera on you. Your mic will be muted when the song starts to play, and we'll be right back here on the producer's point of view.
Please have their station. Now you have yours. The new Party 1019, New York's number one for throwbacks.
Yo, that was some heat right there. If you just tuned in and you don't know what the vibes you were just hearing, that was Christian de Maison. I hope I said that right, but if I didn't, I love the way it came out because it was smooth like that bass line. Yo, tell us about the Throb bass line that you played and made you international. I got you right now, good brother.
Well,
Introduce you before because I know how you go. You big New Yorkers, you just want to just come and just take the mic from me.
yo, you know it, man. You know, you absolutely got that right. One thing I do want to say before I get into a long spiel, man, is a couple of things. One, the original version of that song was all horn based. So I had, two horn players throwing down and spitting out just like a rapper would spit out. One of them is a famous trombonist by the name of Greg Boyer, who because he's played with P-Funk, Parliament Funkadelic for over 30 years. So you know who he is. But the idea of that song, I have to tell you, is like I wanted to really highlight the bass guitar, the electric bass. So how can you get somebody who may not identify with instrumentation, so to speak, to be able to identify and hear those melodies and those improvs and those notes, just like you would hear lyrics listening to rappers, you know what I mean? And that was the goal. By the way, the song is co-written and produced by my brother-in-law, Christopher Valentine. He is a DC native, and that's where that DC go-go vibe from that song comes from. And I just want to give a shout out to him, and I want to give a shout out to the person who got me here today, man, Gentry Housen, who is the president of that 555 Life Records, which I am signed to. Hello, I can't hear you.
I'm not talking to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys, man. But I got a question, man. What do you think of the song?
I love the song. The song, I'm with your permission, I am going to use the song as one of my bed musics when I'm having some interviews because I was just thinking about. I said, "Oh, there's no lyrics on this. I can use this as a bed instrument and show you some love." So, yeah, I like it. I like it that much.
That's good.
It's going to be part of the show at certain points.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you could absolutely. You got my permission. Yes.
And shout out to Jesse just for throwing me the alley-oop to be able to sit down and talk with you today because that's important. You connected your connect, and now in New York we all connected by something. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes, absolutely, man.
I want to understand now, with performing, playing the bass. Do you like the producer point of it? Do you like the performance part of it, or do you like the promotion part of it? Like this, what you're doing now. If you had to just be stuck with one thing for like 30 days straight, which one would you like to do? Produce, perform, or promote?
I would have to say, honestly, if I had to pick, it would probably be a playing live, and that's always going to be the goal for most of us, man, who love the audience. I really love the audience, man. Not always easy to get the kind of gigs that you want, especially with my reputation. I usually play with about a 10 or 11 piece band. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I play with a 13 piece band. I like to do triple, quadruple horns. I like to have 2 vocalists, 2 keyboards, sometimes 2 percussion players, man, so it gets deep like that, so yeah, I would have to choose playing live, man, but I like them all, bro. It's all good.
So do you have a dream collaboration that you would want to do with another band or artist that you have something ready for? You may have been practicing with the notes or whatever, and you just can't wait for the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I am working on a new record, and the people who I'm hoping that they know about the song, and we're developing it right now. It is a Latin jazz song, and it's got one of my favorite percussion players who's from the Bronx, Goombi Ortiz. I like to call him Gumby, man. He doesn't like that. He gets upset. But, Gumby, Ortiz, and another guy who you might know of. He used to play with Al Jarreau, but he plays with Al Di Meola, and he's a recording artist in his own right. His name is Felipe Sace, and so I'm working on a record, and hopefully that'll work out. I'm also trying to get Al Di Meola. I'm reaching out to some of the fusion players of the '70s now who are older, trying to get some work done with them. So if it was up to me, I would love to like collaborate with some of these guys. John Lupante, Stanley Clark would be great. Stuff like that from my generation, man. I'm a little bit older than you, brother.
Yeah, and I heard you was talking about when you overheard our conversation in the green room about hip hop, and we mentioned Murder Mook, and you started going down the old school hip hop. So tell me about what you liked about the first generation of hip hop, and what do you miss the most?
Okay, for me, I mean, I went to school in Manhattan. I went to art and design on 57th Street.
A lot of people, art and design. It's a lot of you art and design artist people that actually went to the school. So that means it worked.
Yeah, and I could tell you that I do remember. You're going to find this funny because I do remember in the halls, in the lunchroom. They be really jamming to like African Bambaataa and craft work and stuff, the early hip hop stuff, that early Beat Street stuff, and I wasn't into it back then. At the time, I was listening to heavy metal, hard rock. I was a big Kiss fan. My ears were closed to it. They opened up as I got older, and when I moved to Richmond in '95. I really started listening to more hip hop, and I was introduced to of course, Ready to Die was a big album. All Eyes on Me was a big album for me. But and Junior Mafia, believe it or not. And I also was introduced to. Now you're gonna laugh, but do you remember the Adina Howard record? Do You Want to Ride? You remember that record?
Sure do.
Yes, yeah. So the thing about that record, which I was naive. You got to remember because this really wasn't my music, my genre. But all of a sudden, I started hearing, oh man, they're sampling Isley Brothers. They're sampling popular songs that I do know of. Because I did get turned on as a teenager. I did know about Go For Your Guns, live Isley Brothers. My brother turned me on to it. My brother turned me on to George Duke too, and some other R&B and funk musicians. So I was aware of it. But like I said, as far as like the hip hop, to me, when I listen to hip hop, man, it's like it's a big difference for me. I could relate to somebody who tells a story in a certain way that like it doesn't have to be East Coast only, even though I'm East Coast and I do prefer East Coast. I do love Scarface, man. I mean, there's some things that from the West Coast, Tupac, Scarface, as long as I could relate to the message, man, I'm in it. If it's stuff that I can't understand, some of the new generation of hip hop, man, I don't get. I ain't gonna lie. I do. I have all the love in the world for Kendrick Lamar. I mean, he to me represents hip hop on a grand scale, man. Anybody from my generation would be really proud of listening to that type of hip hop. But got to remember, when I was in the record stores back in '95, guess who was king of the hip hop game?
I wasn't trying to age you. we're about to wrap this interview up, and we did good so far. I don't want to be on your bad side. So,
Master P, brother, remember that he dominated the hip hop game, bro. Don't you remember?
I sure do. Actually, we got a meet and greet with him. He's coming to Jersey in a few weeks, so we definitely gonna get it set. But listen, I gotta finish the show. I got my guy Rhyme Assassin. He's on deck next, and
okay.
I just want you to be able to shout out your contact information and where they can stream that big record that we just played.
Okay. To everybody, man, it's easy to find me. BigNYBass.com. Just New York, bignybase.com. You can order my records. You can go through my website. I've got a lot of stuff there, man. I'm also playing a really big gig. 2 years ago, I opened for Sheila E., believe it or not. Now I'm opening up for Morris Day. So it's a small world, man. But I'll be playing in Hampton on November 5th at Roger Brown Sports Bar if you're in the Virginia area, in that area. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to my brother-in-law, co-writer, producer, Christopher Valentine, and of course, my record label, That 555 Life. Man, I appreciate you all, and thank you so much for the time. I appreciate anybody, man, from New York. Hey, man, God bless you, man. God bless. I had to leave. I had to escape. I left you, man. So I appreciate you guys putting up with that stuff.
Right behind you, yo. You keep doing, and salute.
All right. God bless, man. Take care, man.